I remember, let me think, the first time I'd won the championship belt, and they wanted me to drop it to Black Bart, and I'd got into some trouble at that time, and I hadn't been that much of a good guy, and I had to go and visit someone for a couple of months, and they wanted me to drop the belt before I went, so I said no, bye, and I didn't do it. I was a little more radical back then.
Did you see the promotion falling apart? With Curry getting injured,
Yeah,
everybody leaving.
yeah. When everybody was leaving, and it was like, oh my gosh, hey, I've got these 2 condos on Lovers Lane, a house in South Lake, a Corvette, and it's just like, whoa, what's going to happen here? So there was a lot of shakiness going on.
The company was losing a lot. Like one year they did like 30,000 at Texas State, and next year was like 5,000.
Right.
What were some of the reasons for the declining business?
Well, the death of Von Erichs, I mean, it puts a damper on the people. They don't respect that. And it just kind of puts some kind of, like almost a black magic thing on it. It was pretty shaky at that time.
What led you, before you went to UWF and worked for Bill Watts, did you ever want to go to Titan, the World Wrestling Federation, or?
Yeah, I did. And I spoke to someone in the office.
Right.
Some of these dates are kind of fuzzy.
Right.
But, and they said, yeah, but they never did come back. So, I wasn't, at that particular time, I thought that, I was so good that I didn't, if they don't call me, then I'm not going to call them. But
right.
I've made a lot of mistakes.
How'd you wind up in Mid-South Championship Wrestling?
For Bill Watts?
Right.
He came to my wedding. When Tony and I got married, Bill Watts was at my wedding in Hawaii, but it's just that I happened to see him. So he brought all his family to the wedding, and he liked me from then. And he liked me also going into the territory because Bill Watts and Fritz would work together.
Right.
So he asked me to go. And so I did.
What was he like as a boss?
He was another tyrant.
Right.
But he was a good guy. Yeah, Bull had his own way, respected me, and I got along well with him, but I respected him too. He's a pretty powerful kind of a guy, and I respected that. I remember some of the guys he treated pretty badly. I remember one black fellow that I can't remember his name. But
Savannah Jack?
No, it wasn't Savannah Jack. It was another guy, but he was a footballer, and he was a pretty hefty guy, but he was trying to break into the business, and Bill had told him to do something, and he didn't do it right, so Bill made him get on his hands and knees in front of everybody in the locker room, kicked him right up the ass. I mean, he was kind of like that.
Right.
And that's not right, but it was funny at the time.
What are the differences in, I guess, Bill Watts and Fritz Von Erich as far as bookers and promoters?
That's a difficult one to say. I think Bill had a lot more respect for his children and his family in one way. Although Fritz did have respect, he was more of the tyrant, both in his family and outside his family. I don't know. I liked both of them in a different way. It's kind of a tough question.
Right. What was the locker room like compared to WCCW?
Everybody was frightened to death of Bill. I mean, even more so than Fritz. I mean, Fritz wouldn't come to the locker room that much. He would be there, but it was like, oh, there's Fritz. But then when Bill Watts came around, everybody was like, it's Bill. So, but, they were both successful at the period of time. They were both really, really good in their own right. And, in a way you can knock them because you don't agree with some of the things they did, but in another way, you've got to admire them because they were successful.
Right. How did you wind up with Terry Taylor?
Terry and I just became friends, and they thought that it was a good combination. We were both handsome young men, so they put us together. I think they were looking to a little bit of the Gino,
right,
Christine.
Right.
So.
And then eventually you guys turned on each other.
Yeah, we did the same kind of formula,
Right.
So Terry was good to work with. I like Terry. He always had a good mind for the business. So Terry and I have remained friends for a long time.
What are your memories of the brawl you did with Eddie Gilbert and Sting and Terry Taylor?
You mean in New Orleans?
Yeah.
Like all over the
Yeah.
All over the building.
Yeah, all over the building. I think that was, another one of its kind at the time. And Eddie Gilbert had a great mind, and I liked him. I loved his wife, Missy Hyatt.
Right.
Her and I have got along for years and years. And I liked Eddie, and I admired his mind. And at the time, I believe he was booking. And my memories were that it was, it got a lot of reaction. It got more reaction after we did it and after people saw it than it actually did at the time. So a lot of people asked me about that.
Now the crowds down there were huge too. Bill Watts was doing tremendous.
Yeah, he was doing tremendous business. I remember at some time or other, on a Sunday afternoon, people come to mind like Rock and Roll Express, and I mean he had the Freebirds. I mean he had his different levels of wrestlers, and everything meant something up and down the card. It wasn't just like watching for this top guy and then all the rest are blah. It was everything meant something. And I just remember Oklahoma City in the afternoon, and then at night Tulsa, and they would both be sold out. It was incredible.
What are your memories of Steve Williams, Ted DiBiase, and those type of guys?
Great guys. Ted DiBiase was always a gentleman, great wrestler. Steve Williams, pretty tough guy. And then, of course, he's had his reign in Japan. Met him not long ago, about 6 months ago, and talked with him for some time. Nice guy and pretty tough, and one of Bill Watts' favorites, ex All-American wrestler, I believe. And Bill liked that. If someone was really tough, he was in football or amateur wrestling, and Bill respected that. So, yeah, they were his favorites.
Freebirds were down there again.
Freebirds were there again, yeah. Doing their Jack Daniels thing. But they were crazy. I loved Michael, and I loved Terry, and I loved Buddy too. I mean, they were entertainment.
Now, Sting was back there as a rookie and Ultimate Warrior. They both started out as the Blade Runners.
Right.
What are your memories of Sting early on?
Just remember that when they came in, they looked so good. They were huge at the time. And I was pretty impressed with them. It was like they were quite green at the time. But it's kind of weird, when you see somebody, you can usually tell. You can't tell whether they're going to stick it, but you can usually tell if they've got it. And you could tell those two guys had it.
What about Rick Steiner?
Rick Steiner? Oh, I love him. I mean, those Steiner boys are tough, for real. The all-American wrestlers, and they're the real deal. I remember doing a little bit of a shoot somewhere or other with Rick in the back, and I consider myself quite good at some of that stuff, but he didn't get me, but I couldn't move him. He was so strong. I've seen him do a set of 10 with 315 behind his back, behind his neck, sat down. He's a pretty strong boy.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.